All right, so we are jumping right into it. So at one point, at the end of the year, of last year, I was so interested in making a huge build. Basically, all I wanted to do for a while was enter a lot and then just spend time on that lot. And I didn't want to pressure myself to, for there to be a deadline. I didn't want to pressure myself for there to be any rush. When I was ready to continue, I would continue. I would work on it until I was sick of it, and then I'd come back and continue it again when I was ready to work on it again. Okay, when I first started this build, I was thinking it might have kind of a fairy tale-ish kind of feeling to it. Please don't ask me why, because you can see there's a freezer bunny right there, and freezer bunnies have nothing to do with fairy tales. I actually don't know the lore behind the freezer bunny at all, but I wanted it to be a theme park. And of course, when you have a theme park, there should be some kind of theme. So what is the theme? So for me, it was definitely going to be like a little kids, like a place for kids to go. And it was, going to be kind of like a Pokemon kind of thing. I would love to visit a place like that because I love little toys. I love little stuffed animals. I love these things so much. And so I wanted to build a place that just felt like, even if you're a big kid like me, you would just enjoy. So that is basically the main idea behind the Freezer Bunnies and Pals Park. And again, I don't know anything about Freezer Bunny. I don't know anything about any of these characters. If it's like past sim lore or whatever, or if they're brand new, I have no idea. But they're super adorable, and I would love to go to a theme park with these little guys in them. So as you can see, I'm working on the entrance, and for most of the builds, I always start exactly like, I guess, okay, if I put it this way, with residential builds, I don't always just start with the front. I typically choose a room, and I have a vision for a room, and then I make that room, and then I build the build around that room. Something like that. And sometimes it is the living room. So sometimes it is the front of the house, and sometimes it's a bedroom on the second floor. It doesn't really matter to me. I just want to sort of make the room that I wanted to make, and then I usually just continue to build from there because I'm already there, I'm already on the lot. I spend more time, fleshing out, whatever I had started with. And sometimes I'll also start with the exterior of a building just to get the certain look down. Then after I get the look down, then I want to kind of expand and do something more and see what I can, try to make it my own, because sometimes I'll use like a little, what do you call it? Like a reference image or something. But not always. So as you can see, it kind of has that kind of fairy tale-ish kind of look to it. It's got those little spires and stuff, but it's not really like that. It's more, and I hate to say this because, we're becoming more progressive, we're becoming more understanding of the fact that literally anybody can be into anything. So, for me, even though there is a lot of pink, it's not meant to be like a girly thing. It's basically a gender neutral park. But I just thought that I never used pink, and I thought that it looked really nice, so I don't think I ever changed it. So yeah, it's not meant to be like, oh, it's one of those little fairy tale princess places. No, it's completely gender neutral, and there's something for each of your child sims to be able to do. And so we'll start in the first area, which is basically the toddler area. A lot of these little items are for toddlers. And when I was making this area, the idea I had in the back of my head was, okay, it's like one of those bouncy castles. So of course, bouncy castles don't exist in the game. They have some things, like that big thing with the, what do you call it? The ball pit. They have that. That's pretty cool. But they don't really have theme parkish kind of things. So I was thinking, how can I make it look like it makes sense? And it was not easy. So the idea is supposed to be, okay, there are those little openings, and I wanted there to be like a net, but the game doesn't have nets. So I found the next best thing, which are those little sparkly things, the little drapes. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Please use your imagination and imagine it's like a net, okay? It's not sharp or pointy or going to hurt your child if they're jumping around in there. They obviously cannot jump around in there, but I put the tarp there for the image of it. Like a little, what do you call it? It wouldn't make them bounce too high because obviously they'd hit their heads, but it's just like a little area for them to kind of like bounce around or whatever. Yeah, and then there's some pillows just in case somebody falls. Anyway, continuing on, one of the frustrating things about making big builds and this is something that I've just noticed recently because I've really never had this problem before. As you're making them, you start to put landscaping in, and for some reason, I have no idea why it is, I do use CC. These particular builds that I've been sharing to the gallery don't have any CC, so that I can actually share it with people who can use them. Because, you know, if they're CC, like, who has what I have? Like, it's really difficult to find, you know, it's really difficult to download something that has what you have, right? So in that area, you can see I started to put down the landscaping, and at some point the landscaping was just deleted. It's happened in each of my big builds. I know so far I've posted some kind of advertisement for like a Wyndham resort. It happened I think two times with that build, and that build took me so long. If you haven't checked it out, it's a really quick video. It's just basically a video to show off some of the areas without going too deep into detail. And there's another build, I'm not sure exactly the order I'm going to upload these in, but it's called Ida like Resort or something like that. And that one also, I'm not even sure if I went back in to fix it, because I have so much landscaping anyway that you can't really see the except for like in the little spa area, you can't really see the landscaping on the ground as much. But if it got deleted at some point, I probably wouldn't have noticed, because I finished the little spa area so much faster than I finished the other areas, and I don't think I ever actually revisited it. So I hope that the landscaping is still there, but if it was deleted, it would have been difficult for me to notice without actually going down to that little area and checking it out. But yeah, it's so frustrating that they keep deleting it, because like you spend all that time trying to make it look so beautiful. And with this particular build, there's so many different areas for your sim to enjoy, right? So the first area that you saw that I did was the toddler area, and that area, the ground is primarily landscaping. And so in this area, you can see it's tile, but I will put some flowers. Like there's lots of plants and like beautiful flowers around. And I spent a lot of time making the landscaping look good, but I hadn't learned my lesson that the game's just going to delete it. So just save it to the end, right? I hadn't learned my lesson. So it got deleted, and I was very frustrated. And that was one of the reasons why I left this build and didn't come back to it for a really long time, because I was so frustrated by the fact that I'm not sure about you, but my personality is I do not like to do things more than once. So if I'm writing a story and the computer doesn't save it for some reason, just forget it. I can't go back to it and try to rewrite what I already wrote, and I abandon it, really. You know, if I'm working on something like this and the game decides it wants to delete something, the odds that I come back to it are so slim. But of course, with these, I've either planned to upload them, or like with this one, I'm actually recording it, so it wouldn't make sense for me to not finish it, to not just go back and redo the landscaping. But when I say the level of frustration that I feel having to redo something that I've already done, I don't even know how to express. All right, so throughout my rambling, there is a little area off to the side where you may have noticed you can take a picture with the little characters, which is so cute. And I made sure to leave a couple of cameras so that you could easily move them, because I know for sometimes when you go traveling, you forget to bring a camera. So I just wanted to make sure that there were cameras there. And I skipped a lot of the landscaping because it took me so long, like I said, with all the plants and stuff and all the trees in that little area where your sims can go fishing. So that's something that your child sim or your teen sim can do and have a good time. Now with this one, because of that kind of fairy tale kind of feeling, I didn't hate it. And I wanted to use those really cool windows from the magic pack. I don't remember the name of it. I can never remember the name of anything when I'm doing this. When I'm, recording videos or recording the audio for the videos. But the magic pack with the witches. Not the witches. Is it witches? I play this game. I build in this game more than I do anything else, as you can see. But in any case, it took me a little time to figure out what I wanted to do with the lobby. The lobby was one of the last areas that I actually did, even though, as you can see, it's the first area that I'm working on. Because, again, it's like sometimes you have a vision, but the vision's not coming to fruition, Or else, like, you're trying to manipulate things in a certain way, but the game is not cooperating with you. You're trying to use like the tool mod or whatever, and that's also not cooperating with you, and you kind of get frustrated, and then you leave and you come back after a few days. It's basically the story of my working on this build. But again, one of the things I wanted to make sure that I did was, make it colorful, make it beautiful, basically. So as you can see here, there are some beds, and the beds are just for scale. Of course, this is supposed to be like a family resort, so I don't just want to, have it be where there's like a single bed. It should be one bed and then like beds for kids, because I'm assuming that you're bringing your family along. And so I kept that in mind in terms of not only the size of the rooms, but then also, do I want to split them into 2 rooms? So there's options. If it's just you and it's like one kid, like it's just a single parent or something, then you have an option. If it's just your single sim, you also have an option. I just wanted to make sure that there were going to be a variety of rooms so that no matter who played the game or no matter why they visited the park, they were just going to have a good time. And as with most of my big builds, I try to make sure that you can use it as more than one thing. And I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted this particular lot to be, because it's just so big. And so with the original big build that I did, the Windenburg Resort, that one could be like a restaurant. It could be retail because there was like a register. It could be rental. It could be, obviously residential. You do whatever you want with it. But with this one, I was thinking there is a restaurant. It can be a restaurant if you want it to be, but why would most people actually download this or like use this? And honestly, it would probably be for just use it as a park. So I wanted to make sure that I could post it as a park. And later when I tried, I had everything except for the chess table. They were like, you need a chess table. And I'm like, really? There's no place in this build at all to put a chess table because I fill it to the brim, okay? There's no place to put a chess table. So I was like, well, what am I gonna do? So I just stuck a chess table in the basement. So if you're wondering why there's a chess table in the basement, it's so that this can actually be a park. Okay, so here is the restaurant, and the restaurant is super cute. Once again, I just wanted to keep things very colorful. I wanted to do something that I just don't typically do in the game. And one of those things is just make it colorful and make it playful. For me, I always make these very strict color scheme having modernish looking builds. I'm not really, how can I put this? Yeah. And it's typically because I don't have the time to spend on things. I do, this channel, just generally speaking, is just a hobby. Me playing The Sims is just a hobby. Like none of this is meant to be work. So it takes a back seat to work. And I also have other channels that I do, and all of it's just for hobby. So, splitting time between work and between, making videos for each of the channels, yeah, it tends to take time. So I don't always have as much time as I want to flesh out these ideas. But when I tell you I was in a mood last year, this is what I mean. I was making all kinds of interesting things. And so some of them did take quite a while. They took weeks. So that's why I'm only posting them around now, even though, I started them so long ago. Okay, so in this restaurant, it was a little difficult for me because first, like I said, I'm outside of my comfort zone. But then also it's like these cute little decals, and I love these little Pokemon little decal things. They're so cute. I never use them. So I was like, I'm just going to go crazy with the void critters. I'm just going to go crazy. I'm just going to make it look like so cool is basically what my idea was. And so carrying that theme back into the guest rooms, you can see that the little void critter bed, I think that came with Snowy Escape, if I'm not mistaken. What else would it have come with? Okay, so we're continuing to use some of the magic stuff. You'll see some paranormal stuff. There are some things that are kind of mismatched, especially in the bathroom. You almost can't help but do that because not every pack comes with like a full complete bathroom set. But I wanted to have the theme carry into the guest rooms, and I also wanted to make sure, I think I mentioned before that there were a variety of guest rooms. That was just very important to me. But they each have the same kind of furniture and the same kind of theme. As you can see, it doesn't match 100%. The style of the magic pack and the style of the tiny living, I think it's called, pack, they don't really match as well. But how can I put it? The style, the design doesn't match as well, but the colors were coming together pretty well. And how can I say, it's a limitation that you have when you're trying to make a build where there's no CC. you do the best that you can to match colors, and sometimes that means that you're mixing styles in a way that you would prefer not to, and vice versa, right? It's just, you just kind of take it or leave it. But having the entertainment center is so convenient, because not only is it books, not only is it music, but it's also TV. So it just works out very, very well. And about the colors, basically, I just needed them to match around the Void Critter bed, because I think these are the only two, or maybe there might be only one more. But then I also had to make sure that there was enough other items that I can actually match them quite well together, as I'm, building the entire suite. So the parents' bed needed to match, and the couch needs to match, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, well, what kind of colors does the game have? They have plenty of purple items and they have plenty of orange items. I never use them. I never use them, but I know that the game has them. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to make this one room kind of white and orangish. I'm going to make the other room kind of black and purplish. And so that's basically where we're going from there. Just it was just all a matter of, what does the game actually have that I can make this work with? Oh, these colors. Okay, let's just go with it. So that's the basic idea behind what's happening in these suites. And one of the things I always keep in mind when I'm making a build where it's like a resort or something that's huge, I always want to make sure that if you do bring your family along, you're able to do things in the bathroom simultaneously, because it's really frustrating if you have 4 Sims and none of them can go to the bathroom because dad's taking a bath, right? So as you can see, the bathing areas are separate from the areas where they can use a sink, and the toilet is also separate. I just think it's so much more convenient to do it this way, because then there's no walking in on people, and your family can get ready pretty quickly and they can head out to the park and just have a good time without having to worry about embarrassing each other by walking in on each other. All right, so this little area here off to the side is actually going to become an aquarium. I had no idea what I was going to do with the space at first, because I was just thinking there needed to be as many attractions as possible on the first floor. And of course, there are also like some quote unquote officey areas, there's the restaurant. And I was like, well, what else can I put on the first floor? And I had no idea for a while. And I'm talking like days are passing, like maybe even a week or so is passing. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this room. And I was like, oh, why don't I just make it a little aquarium? And this doesn't really work, because you have to stock, first of all, you have to stock the aquariums with fish. But I thought, even if it's not functional, it could at least look nice. I would much rather have rooms that are functional, like 100%. But at the same time, so long as it looks like a place where you can go with your family, just like, look around or whatever. You can stock it with fish if you want. And you can just just take a picture or whatever. That's also okay. And so this little area here, I thought of as like reception / little gift area. So it's kind of like, oh, when you visit this little area, you get like a stamp, or you can like sign your name in the book and get like a free little thing or whatever. Or maybe you just might buy one of those little fishy guys. It's like a little fish statue thing that came with the island pack. You know what I mean when I say island pack, right? Is it called Island Living? Aren't they all called something living? What's the magic pack? Magic Living? I don't even know. Okay, so anyway, I like this wallpaper. It came in so many colors. And again, trying to keep things colorful, but then also, again, using the colors to separate the different areas. So this little area here, again, is like where people can just like, oh, I want to take some fish home. Oh, I caught a fish in the lake and I want to take my fish home. So they can buy a fish bowl or something like that. I don't know. It was just kind of like that idea. And of course you can see like the little fish that are on display on the side. Maybe you're like vegetarian or something and you hate the idea of this. Oh, sorry. The world is big and vast and there's lots of different types of people. I've never fished probably a day in my life. I don't have any interest in it, but in the game, I love it. Okay. So fishing is just a thing that I like to do. I like collecting things in the game. So for me, it's just fiction. There's just such thing as separating fiction from real life, right? Let's just go to the park and have a good time. All right. So as you can see, my landscaping is gone. Can you feel my frustration? I don't even know how long it took before I came back to this build after I realized that they deleted my landscaping, because I just didn't want to do it. I think I started the gift shop, and I think I still hadn't finished the lobby, and I was just like, I feel like I'm almost done with this, and they just gave me more work to do, and I just wasn't feeling that, and I wasn't really feeling inspired, you know. This is a really big build, and I didn't want it to all of a sudden start to look like, oh, I was giving up like in the end, because that's basically how I felt after they deleted my landscaping. But I didn't want that to come through in the recording, and I didn't want that to come through in the build itself. So I kept giving myself more and more time to just sort of take a break and then come back. As you may notice, this particular area uses a lot of items from Cottage Living, which I'm pretty sure that's the name of it, right? I'm not just making it up. And Get Famous. That one I remember. All right. Again, carrying along with that kind of cottagey, kind of fairy tale-ish kind of feeling, but then also trying to keep it a theme park, you know, with those cute little freezer bunny little thingies. At the same time, I tried my best, you know, trying to match these two things. But I think even in the Windenburg Resort, there is like a little gift shop, and that one also has kind of a fairy tale-ish kind of feel to it. I don't know why, but when you go to a gift shop, you just kind of want to have that feeling of caricature. Is it just me? Probably it's just me, but that's okay. And I also wanted to put little landmarks to kind of designate the different areas. So you'll see that little chippy, what is that thing? I don't know what kind of animal is it, a squirrel? It reminds me of Bullwinkle and the squirrel at the same time. They look like, it looks like they had a baby. I don't know what animal it is, but it's super cute. And so I used it to kind of designate the little toddler play area. And you might notice there's like this lighthouse or something, and that one is meant to designate the fishing area. And this one, it has kind of like a phone booth. I think the phone booth is so cool, and I always wanted to use it. I've never had a chance to use it, so of course I used it. Alright, so this is a gift shop, so we're going to spend some time just putting stuff on shelves, basically, and making them look like it's not the same item by changing the colors. But this is just a basic idea. It's like a little toy store, or else, you know, they can come here and buy some of the character models. Character... What do you call them? I'm not exactly sure what you would call a toy. It's not a toy, but it's like a little poster thing. I'm not sure exactly what they are. They're actually meant to be part of your stage decorations when you do, like when you're like acting or whatever. Those really big things. But I just kept shrinking them down and just using them as like little... I have no idea what's the word in English to say. These things. What are those things? They're so cute. They're so cute. And, you know, sizing them down, they kind of fit on the wall pretty well. It took me a while to work it out. I do eventually get all three of them properly spaced out on this wall. I think I cut it because it was just taking me forever. Or maybe I got back to it another time, but I definitely did finish that. And so, yeah, this is just filling up the little areas here to just make it look like there's lots of merchandise for your family to come by. And I wasn't sure exactly, it's like, how can I put this? It's like a mix between a toy store and a gift shop. So, of course, the themed characters are here, but there's a bunch of other things that your sim, you technically can't buy them, but the idea is that your sim could buy, right? So it's kind of like, oh, you buy like a little toy or something as a memento, which is super cute. And all these little toddler toys, which are also super cute. And the, what do you call these guys? Little dolls? Superheroes? Figurines! Ha ha ha. I speak English. It's a thing that I do on occasion. Little figurines and this took a little bit of time because I wanted to have as many of these as I could on display, and then I realized they were too big. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Oh, I know, I'll size them down. So that's basically what's happening here. Oh, they're so cute. I love stuffed animals. I am a grown woman, a little bit too old for this, but I adore stuffed animals. So I definitely wanted to have a little place for your kid sim or your big kid sim to be able to get a little stuffed animal. It's so cute. Okay, so you can see me here still trying to figure this out. It took quite some time, but I was able to do it. Oh, also because if you move them too close to the wall, they get dark and they have a weird shadow. Ah, okay, so I did work on the lobby, but as you can see, I didn't record it. Probably because I was I was in a mood. It took me forever to arrange that seating area, and I think between the frustration of having lost my landscaping, which I know you're probably thinking it's not that serious. It's seriously not that serious. My brain says it's super serious. So between the frustration of losing the landscaping, not knowing what to do with the gift shop, and kind of being wishy-washy about the lobby, I was just kind of like, I don't want to record this part, because not only am I having to redo things over and over and over again, because I kept moving there's like a little counter. It's just decorative. I don't think it's functional, which, it's not meant to be functional anyway, but it's just meant to look nice. It's just meant to look like a lobby. I wanted it to look a little bit more like a transaction desk. And, it took me forever, because like when you move something with the tool mod and then you touch it again, if you elevate something with the tool mod and then you touch it again, it'll go back to the original placement where the game wants it to be. And it kept doing that, and it kept driving me crazy. And I kept incrementally changing things, or then because it's also a platform, that was also complicating things. But eventually I got it set. And here is the lobby. I tried my best. I was just like, I want to make it colorful, but I also want to make sure that there's enough places to sit. I wanted it to look like a place that was inviting for children, because it's basically a place for children to come, hang out. So I filled some of the little areas with things for the toddlers to do while their parents are waiting, while they're waiting to check in and all that kind of thing. And I finally finished the lobby. It took me 1,000 years, but I finally finished it. And so here we have the kind of flyover view. It's so cute. I love this build. It took me forever, but I love it. Okay, so you can see I did try to put some of the landscaping back in. These are all of the little separate areas, the little dining area, the place to take a picture. This I didn't show. The place to go fishing, the gift shop, of course. And this is the interior of the little aquarium space, which is nice. Okay, this is the entry when you're basically entering in the lobby. Looking on the other side. And the view from the restaurant, basically, which is really nice. And this is the view into the restaurant. So colorful. This is one of the suites, the one with a separate room for the parents. And this is what the main room looks like, where the children will sleep, for example. We can see, I think they're a little out of order, but that's okay. This is the combined suite, so that you can sleep with your kids in the same room. And here's the the plan view. Each floor. Oh, we're going down, I see. Usually it's the other way around. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again in another video.